You're lying in bed with someone you're attracted to. Your mind wants this. Your body wants this. But nothing is happening, and the harder you try, the worse it gets. Sound familiar? If it does, you're not alone. And here's what most men don't realize. This isn't a failure of desire. It's your nervous system doing exactly what it was designed to do. It's choosing survival over sex. And until you understand why, you'll keep fighting a battle you can't win with willpower alone. Today, we're talking about stress, specifically how your nervous system can shut down your sexual response before you even know what's happening. The Better Man podcast is produced by Kegel Men for informational and educational purposes only. This is not a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Every episode is reviewed by our medical team, but individual results may vary. Welcome back to the Better Man podcast. I'm Alex. Last episode, we talked about blood flow, how an erection is fundamentally a vascular event. Today, we're going one level deeper, because before blood can flow to the right places, your nervous system has to give the green light. And if your body thinks you're under threat, even if that threat is just a work deadline or a worry about performance, that green light never comes. By the end of this episode, you'll understand exactly why stress kills erections, how the two branches of your nervous system compete for control of your sexual response, and what you can do to tip the balance back in your favor. To understand why stress and sex don't mix, you need to understand the autonomic nervous system. This is the part of your nervous system that runs on autopilot. It controls your heart rate, your digestion, your breathing, and your erections. The autonomic nervous system has two main branches. The first is the sympathetic nervous system. This is your fight or flight response. When you're in danger, or when your brain thinks you're in danger, the sympathetic system takes over. Your heart rate increases. Your muscles tense. Your pupils dilate. Blood is redirected to your arms and legs so you can fight or run. And critically, blood is pulled away from non-essential functions, including your reproductive system. The second branch is the parasympathetic nervous system. This is often called the rest and digest system, but a more useful way to think about it for our purposes is the rest and reproduce system. When you're calm, safe, and relaxed, the parasympathetic system dominates. It slows your heart rate, it supports digestion, and it's the system that allows erections to happen. Here's the key point. Erections are a parasympathetic event. They require the dominance of the parasympathetic nervous system over the sympathetic system. When parasympathetic signals are in control, they trigger the release of nitric oxide in the penile arteries, which causes the smooth muscle to relax, the arteries to dilate, and blood to flow in. We covered this mechanism in detail in episode 3. But when the sympathetic system is activated, when your body is in stress mode, it does the opposite. It constricts blood vessels. It diverts blood away from the penis. It actively works against the mechanics of an erection. This is why you can feel desire in your mind and still have your body refuse to cooperate. Your conscious brain may want sex, but your autonomic nervous system has decided that survival is more important. And the autonomic system always wins. Now, here's where this gets complicated for modern men. The fight or flight response evolved to deal with short, intense threats, a predator, a rival, a sudden danger. The stress would spike, you'd deal with it, and then your nervous system would return to baseline. The parasympathetic system would take over again, and normal functions, including sexual function, would resume. But that's not how most of us experience stress today. Modern stress is chronic. It's the job you can't switch off from, the financial pressure that's always in the background, the relationship tension that simmers without resolution, the constant notifications, the never-ending to-do list, the feeling that you're always behind. When stress becomes chronic, the sympathetic nervous system stays activated at a low level, sometimes for weeks, months, even years. Your body never fully returns to that calm, parasympathetic state, and your sexual function pays the price. Chronic stress also triggers the sustained release of cortisol from your adrenal glands. Cortisol is the body's primary stress hormone, and in the short term, it's useful. It mobilizes energy and sharpens focus. But when cortisol stays elevated over time, it causes real damage. It suppresses testosterone production by inhibiting the hypothalamic pituitary gonadal axis, the hormonal feedback loop that regulates your sex hormones. Research has shown an inverse relationship between cortisol and testosterone. When cortisol goes up, testosterone tends to go down, and lower testosterone means lower libido, weaker arousal signals, and reduced capacity for erection. A study from the University of Texas found that elevated cortisol levels can directly block testosterone's effects on the body, even when testosterone levels are technically normal. The researchers described cortisol and testosterone as antagonistic. When one is high, the other's influence diminishes. So chronic stress attacks your sexual function from two directions at once. It keeps your sympathetic nervous system activated, which physically prevents the blood flow needed for erection, and it suppresses testosterone, which reduces your desire and arousal in the first place. There's another layer to this that we need to talk about, and it's one that almost every man has experienced. Performance anxiety. Performance anxiety is what happens when stress becomes specifically linked to sexual situations. Maybe you had an experience where you couldn't get or maintain an erection. It might have been caused by something completely unrelated: tiredness, alcohol, a distracted mind. But the experience creates a memory, and the next time you're in a sexual situation, part of your brain is watching, waiting, wondering, will it happen again? That monitoring activates the sympathetic nervous system. It creates exactly the conditions that make erection difficult. And when the erection doesn't happen or doesn't hold, it confirms the fear. The cycle deepens. Research published in the Journal of Consulting and Clinical Psychology has identified this pattern as cognitive interference, where negative thoughts and self-monitoring during sexual activity actively disrupt arousal. The man's attention shifts from pleasure and connection to evaluation and fear, and the nervous system responds accordingly. A meta-analysis of 12 studies found that men with anxiety disorders, including post-traumatic stress disorder, obsessive-compulsive disorder, social anxiety, and panic disorder, had significantly higher rates of erectile dysfunction. A study of military veterans with PTSD found that the condition increased the risk of sexual dysfunction by more than 3 times. This tells us something important. Stress-related erectile dysfunction isn't a weakness. It's not a failure of masculinity. It's a predictable, measurable, neurological response. Your body is doing what it's designed to do. It's just doing it at the wrong time. So, what can you actually do about this? The answer starts with your nervous system. If the problem is an overactive sympathetic response, the solution is learning how to activate the parasympathetic system deliberately and consistently. The most accessible tool is breathing, specifically slow, controlled breathing with an emphasis on a longer exhale. When you extend your exhale, you stimulate the vagus nerve, the main highway of the parasympathetic nervous system. This sends a direct signal to your brain that says it's safe to stand down. Research has shown that just 5 to 10 minutes of diaphragmatic breathing can measurably reduce cortisol levels and shift the nervous system toward parasympathetic dominance. Mindfulness meditation is another powerful approach. A pilot study published in the Journal of Sexual Medicine found that men with situational erectile dysfunction who completed a 4-week mindfulness-based program, which included education, counseling, and daily meditation practice, reported significant improvements in sexual function. Mindfulness works by training the brain to stay present rather than spiraling into worry or self-monitoring. It breaks the cycle of cognitive interference that fuels performance anxiety. Regular physical exercise also helps regulate the nervous system. It provides an outlet for the stress hormones circulating in your body and promotes the release of endorphins that support parasympathetic activity. The key is consistency, not intensity. A daily walk or moderate workout does more for your nervous system than occasional extreme sessions. And here's something that connects directly to what we talked about last episode. Your pelvic floor is part of this nervous system picture. The muscles of the pelvic floor, particularly the ischiocavernosus and bulbocavernosus muscles, are directly involved in maintaining erection rigidity. But these muscles can also become chronically tense in men who carry a lot of stress, which restricts blood flow rather than supporting it. Learning to both strengthen and relax your pelvic floor through guided training, like the programs available in the Kegel Men app, helps restore the balance your body needs. It's not just about strength, it's about control, awareness, and the ability to release tension when it matters most. If there's one thing to take from this episode, it's this. Your nervous system is not your enemy. It's trying to protect you. But when it gets stuck in stress mode, your sexual function is one of the first things to suffer. The path back isn't about forcing your body to perform. It's about teaching your nervous system that it's safe to let go. Breathe, move, be present, and give your body the conditions it needs to do what it already knows how to do. Next time on the Better Man podcast, we're exploring something that ties directly into everything we've covered. Sleep. How many hours you get, how well you sleep, and why your body does some of its most important sexual maintenance while you're unconscious. Episode 5, Sleep and Sex, The Recovery Connection. I'm Alex. This is the Better Man podcast. See you next time.